Well, hello folks, in this video I'm going to be teaching you everything that you need to know about Matrix Auth. Now Matrix Auth is a module that you can download for free. It's for the Trongate framework, and what it does is it helps two websites to communicate with each other very securely. Let me give you an example. Now if you're from the UK, you may have heard of sites like this car insurance website. Here's another one here. It's actually a past client of mine. And I know for a fact, because I built their in-house IT system, that web pages like this, and again you'll see this on car insurance websites and other similar sites, this is reading, look at all of this equipment, you see all of this card data? This is being read from another website. It's actually from a company called CAP, and they charge about £1,000 per month for this data here. Now, what Matrix Auth does is it allows two websites, like the kind of situation I've just shown you, to communicate securely. So this means that the provider, in this case let's imagine it's a company like CAP who provide the data, well the provider can know that only authorized people can view the data. So here's a Trongate website. I've created a very simple module called Secret. And it has a little function that says here is some secret information, right? No big deal. Now, if I show you what this looks like, if we go to the URL, you'll see that this says, here is some secret information. Now, obviously, I'm imagining that this is something a bit more meaningful than this, you know. Maybe this is information about cars or some other sensitive thing, right? So let's imagine that you wanted to protect this information and you are the provider, you are providing the information, right? Well, all you would do is you would say this module and you would load up Matrix Auth, that's the name of the module. And then we would call Matrix Auth. My hands are so cold I cannot type. But Matrix Auth and then underscore protect. That's it. So 2 lines of code, right? And then what happens is, if anyone tries to go to this endpoint, they get this, a whole bunch of random 1s and 0s. And this endpoint is now safe. However, I'll just take us back to a second site. So this is a second website, and this website has got permission to view the data. Now it's not going to look like much, but if I press fetch secret info get request, then you can see that it can read the secret information. If anybody else had tried to read the secret information, they would have had the crazy page with all of this stuff going on. But because both websites have got Matrix Auth, that's what happens. Now what I've been giving you is a preview of what's coming up. And that was what's called an HTTP GET request. But you can also do POST requests. If I just show you the source code of this page, and I'm showing you what's coming up by the way, right? Well, we've got a button here on click submit info. And what this is doing is it's building up some parameters and it's doing a POST request this time. So again, the endpoint is protected, but if we submit POST request, as you can see, the information is being picked up at the other side, and the other side happens to be protected with Matrix Auth as well. So that's what's coming up, that's what we're going to build, and here we go. Now in this tutorial we are going to be using the Trongate framework. It's available from trongate.io/download, and for speed I'm going to use the Trongate desktop app. The Trongate desktop app, here it is here. It's just a headless browser and it just makes things a little bit quicker, you know, that's all this is. And if you don't like using that, that's fine. You can click on the link here and head over to GitHub, and that's no problem at all. You can click and download the framework, do whatever makes you feel good. But like I say, I'm just doing the desktop app, or rather using the desktop app for speed. So here we go, I'm going to create new app, and there's going to be 2 apps for this particular tutorial. I'll call this one app 1, okay? And we'll go through the different settings and whatnot. I'm going to choose htdocs. Now I do have XAMPP up and running on my computer. We're going to generate this, and there we go. Okay, now we can view this, of course, and there's app 1 on localhost, and all is well. Now, before we go any further, let's go to the desktop app and we'll click Create New Module. I'm going to browse the module market. Now you can do all of this without the desktop app, by the way, but again, I'm just doing this for speed. I'm going to select Matrix Auth and I'm going to click Get. And here we go. So it's downloading Matrix Auth. And now we've got a button, Run Module Import Wizard. So if we click on this, you'll see that we do have an SQL file within the module directory. So I'm going to click View SQL. And all it's doing is creating a table. So let me just run the SQL. And there we go. Okay. Now I'd like to just open this up in my text editor to show you what we've got here. So if I head over, that was a failed practice run you're seeing. Let's pretend we never saw that. But if I open up app 1, here it is here. Here's our modules folder. You can see that we've got Matrix Auth right here. And it has a controller file by the name of Matrix Auth. Here it is here. We don't need to worry about what it's doing. It has some view files and an empty thing called authorized apps. But don't worry about any of that. What I want you to do is navigate to the base URL followed by matrix_auth. And here we go. Now you've got a few instructions here. It says follow the instructions below. So here they are. Open the file named authorizedapps.php. So that's this file here. Okay. And then it says copy the code below. So I'm going to copy this and paste in and save. And then we refresh this page. Okay. So now it's asking, would we like to export the settings for this app so that it can safely send HTTP requests to another app? Now we are going to say yes, but first of all, I'd like to build the other app if that's okay. So I'm going to go back to the desktop app and reset here. And now we're going to create our second app. So I'll call this one app 2. This is the app that's going to be providing the information. Okay, so same again, choosing htdocs, generating. All right, so this is our second app here. Okay, now let's open up the second app in our text editor. So here we go. We're now opening up app 2. Now don't forget, app 2 is the one that's going to be serving the sensitive information. Let's go into modules. And we'll manually create a new module called secret. We'll just do this manually. So it's going to have a controllers folder. And we're going to have a PHP file here called secret.php. Now look out for that uppercase S at the start. It's secret.php. And we're going to do our opening PHP tags. We're going to say class secret extends Trongate. And then we're going to have a little method here called info. And I'm going to say here is some secret info. Okay, hopefully that's pretty straightforward. Now if we save and then head over to the second app, go to the base URL and then secret/info, you know what's going to come up. It's our secret info, and there it is, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to add Matrix Auth to this second app so that this endpoint is protected. So I'm going to click Create New Module. I'll browse the module market. And once again, I'll choose Matrix Auth. So both apps need to have Matrix Auth, right? We'll run the module import wizard. There is a table here, you know. So we'll view the SQL. We'll run the SQL. Everything looks fantastic. Now let's navigate over to our base URL followed by Matrix Auth. Okay. And you can see it's the same story. So I'm going to copy this code. We're now in the second app, remember? And we're going into Matrix Auth, authorized apps, pasting into the second app, and we're going to hit save. Now, that's fine. If we just refresh this, do you want to export settings for this app so that it can safely send requests to another app? Well, we don't actually. So best of luck with Matrix Auth. The second app is cool. Now, let's go back to our secret info page. This is our secret info. We are now going to apply Matrix Auth on our second app, and we're going to make this endpoint safe. So we're going to say this module Matrix Auth. Then we're going to say this Matrix Auth, and we're going to load up _protect and save. So now, if somebody goes to this URL, some ordinary person, they will see this whole bunch of random ones and zeros. Now, to anyone who was not authorized, or maybe not even educated on how this all works, they would just see a big random bunch of ones and zeros. However, that bunch of ones and zeros is actually a puzzle, believe it or not. And every app that has permission to access this endpoint of ours has an unlock sequence for the puzzle. So you can think about these ones and zeros, and by all means look at the source code. We won't go into it right now, but you can think about this as being a unique puzzle, and only 2 people on the planet Earth have got the solution for this puzzle. One of them is, of course, the one providing the data, and the other is going to be our first website. Now that reminds us, let's go back to the first website. I do hope that you're following along here. So I'm back on the first website, and it's saying, would you like to export settings for this app so that it can safely send HTTP requests to another app? The answer is yes. So here's what we're doing. This is the first app. I want you to copy this code here. It says, actually, make sure the site that you're going to be submitting has the latest version. It does. And so we're going to copy this code here. Okay. And then head to the second app, paste in under here, and then save, right? So the second app has now got 2 bunches of app data here. You'll notice that in my own case, it starts with J-A-J. You may have a different, well, you probably almost certainly will have a different app code, but you can see that that matches the code of the first app. So the settings for the first app have now been pasted into the second app. I do hope that that makes sense. Now, what that means is that our first app, with a little bit of work, should be able to solve this puzzle, and hopefully something amazing will happen. So, in order to demonstrate this, we're going to do a little bit of work, and we're going to build a web page that sends HTTP requests to the other site. So, let's go back to the first app. Now, over on the first app, we are going to go to our welcome controller file, and I want to do a little bit of work to just bring this one to life. So I'm going to say data view module equals welcome. Then I'm going to say data view file equals, let's just say homepage. And then I'm just going to load up a template. I'll load up the public template, and I'll pass in the data. Now I do have to make a view file up called homepage.php, which I'll do right now. And then I'll do an H1, and I'll just say, let's send some HTTP requests. Okay. So if we now save and refresh, we are on the first website here, and we get something like that. Now this may be slightly different from the demo that I had, but that's okay. Now, what's going to happen then is we're going to have a div here called secret, let's call it secret info. It's going to be something like that. And this div is going to contain whatever our secret information is. Now I'm going to do a little bit of styling here to make it look cool. So I'll say that secret info, actually I'll make it a hyphen, not an underscore. Let's make it secret hyphen info, right? So it's a little div. I'm going to say that the background color is light green. So save, refresh, that's pretty good. Now let's make the font a bit bigger. So font size is going to be 1.4 M. Let's say that the padding is 1 M. Let's save and refresh. Yeah, that's looking kind of good. Now let's also say that the max width is, now choose something that makes you feel good. How about if we say maybe 300 pixels, and then we'll just say margin 0 auto. Now you don't have to follow this exactly. Do whatever makes you feel good. It's absolutely fine. I mean, maybe you'll want to add a nice little border. I'm inspecting here. Did you see how I right clicked and I said inspect? And when I do that, it gives me the ability to do something absolutely incredible. Where on earth is it? Here we go. So do you see this light green color picker? I'm going to click and drag down till I get a dark color, something like that. Okay, now this does not have to be entirely scientific, but now we can say border 1 pick, a nice dark green color, solid. So can you see on the right hand side how we've now got a nice border here? If you want, you can even make the font that color as well. Do whatever makes you feel good. It's all fine. So next we're going to have a paragraph, and it's going to have something like, let's say, an ID of send buttons, okay? Something like that. Again, you can call it anything you want. Now this is going to contain a button, and we're going to say send HTTP request, and this is going to be a GET request. So if we save, refresh, you're going to see something like that. If it makes you feel good, we can add in a class of text center. That's going to align it like that. Okay, and that's all pretty cool. So let's now work on sending a GET request. I'm going to say onClick equals, and we'll just say something like send GET request, and I'll write it in camel case because we are in the land of JavaScript here, okay? Alright. Now downstairs we're going to add some script tags. I'm going to do a little function that says send GET request. If it makes you feel good, do a little alert hello here. And how about we refresh and just test that? And just make sure that you have a little pop-up window. If you do, then congratulations. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to build up an HTTP request, and we're going to do a GET request. Please do this exactly the way that I'm going to show you here, okay? So we're going to say const HTTP equals new XML HTTP request. We're going to say http.open. Now this is going to be a GET request, and we're going to chuck in the URL that we're going to be sending our request to. So in the case of our example, we know that it's going to be the second website, then it's going to be /secret/info. That is the URL. I'll just double check that. So here it is. Well, sometimes you win them, and sometimes you lose them. What did I do wrong? Secret info, app 2. Oh, you know what? It's not matrix auth secret info. It's just secret info. There we go. That's the URL, okay? So take that URL. Here it is here. And that is the URL of our page, right? Our protected page. Can you handle it? So there we go. There's what we get, okay? Now, actually, to make life a bit easier, let's just get rid of this matrix auth protect thing for the moment, right? So that means that when we go to that URL, we should see the secret info. Here it is here. And so let's continue building our HTTP request here in JavaScript. So what we're going to do is we're going to say http.setRequestHeader content type, and it's going to be application/JSON. Then we're going to say http.send. Now that's going to send our request to this endpoint here. When it's finished, let's have http onload equals, and there's going to be a function. Now, we can, at that point, say, well, if we take this secret info thing, I'm gonna make it so that this is empty. You see that? And I'm gonna just say, well, actually, at the top of the code, let's say const secret info element is document.getElement by ID secret info. And so now, when that response comes in, we're going to say secret info element dot inner HTML equals HTTP response text and save. Okay, so this is ordinary vanilla JavaScript, and all we're doing is building a little button. And if we click this, you can see that it says here is some secret info. Now, if you want, we can make this even fancier. I'm going to comment this out. And let's make it so that as soon as we send this thing, we're going to say secret info element dot inner HTML equals. Now check this out. A little div with a class of spinner. Ahaha, how you like me now? And that can be our inner HTML. So now if I save and request, you'll see that when we do the request, we have a little spinner, and that tells us that stuff is happening. So let's bring this back now, and now we have a fabulous little button. You can briefly see the spinner there, but it's so fast you can barely notice the thing. And that's us requesting the secret info. Now, let's go back to the second site. And we're going to enable matrix auth protection. Let's save. And we're going to refresh. And we're going to press send again. Watch what happens. Boom. Nightmare. Okay. Because the response was all ones and zeros. And it's basically just broken the whole page. Okay. So not too good. Not too good. So the way that we're going to fix this is we're going to go to our welcome controller here, and we're going to add in a little data key value pair. We're going to say matrix intercept equals true. But there's one more thing that we're going to do. In our templates folder here, I want you to go into views, public, where the template is. Now if you look very carefully, you'll see a section here that says template display data. What we want matrix auth to do is intercept our code and basically rewrite it in a way that will help us to pass this matrix auth challenge. So I'm going to get rid of this, and instead I'm going to echo modules run, and it's going to be matrix auth /display, and I'm going to pass in the data like that. Okay, so just a little tweak there, and that's us. So now if we refresh, you know what, it's underscore display. I apologize for that. Here we go, it's underscore display. There you go. Okay, so there's our page back. I'll show you how it works in a minute. But now if we send our HTTP request, boom, here is some secret info. Congratulations. So, what on earth just happened? Well, if you look at the source code, you'll see that our code has changed slightly. Do you remember how we had the second site as the target URL? Well, it has changed. Now it kind of sends it to itself. Now, I won't talk about this too much in Babylon. It's actually quite sophisticated what this is doing. But basically, it intercepts the loading of the view file. It changes the code so that instead of doing a GET request directly to the other site, it does a GET request to Matrix Auth. Then, in short, there's a little song and dance between the two websites, back and forth. And site 1 figures out what the solution to the puzzle is on site 2. Then it gets access to the information, and everything is fantastic. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now, just to let you know as well, this will pass on all header information tokens, anything you want. They will not be lost in the wash. So it takes the GET request and it just reflects it across, except solving the puzzle. Now, let's do a POST request and then we'll be done. Okay, so we're going to go back to home page and I want to do a second button. So let's copy this. We're going to go here. Now this time we'll have send post request. Okay, so this is going to be a send post request. I'll just write post request here. Send actually, not sent. Okay, so save and refresh. There we go. If you want the button to look different, we can add on a little class of alt because it's an alternative button, right? So we've got our GET request, no problems with that. Now we're going to do our send post request. So send post request. Let's just copy this to get started. In fact, I'll chuck it up here, shall we? Here we go. So this one is going to be send post request. And send post request is remarkably similar, except for a couple of details. First of all, we're going to declare some parameters. I'm going to say const params equals. Now let's just have a first name. So I'll say that the first name is John, little comma, and then last name, I'll say Smith. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to be posting information to an endpoint that's protected by Matrix Auth. Okay. So we've got John Smith here and all is well. Now we change this to post. It's going to be a post request. I'm going to change the URL actually. Instead of info, we'll have submit. Okay. And we'll build that in a minute. And then when we do send, it's going to be json.stringify params. And there you have it. So that's how you do a post request using vanilla JavaScript and using the XML HTTP request method. That's how it's done. Now let's head over to site 2. Here's site 2 here. I'm going to just say function submit. Now I'm going to go into this submit method here and I'm going to say raw post data. Now that's going to be file get contents, and inside here we'll pass in an argument of php://input. Okay, then I'm just going to say posted data is JSON decode raw post data, and if you want you can say comma true. This will turn the thing or the stuff into an array. Now if we just say JSON posted data, this is a little function that comes with the Trongate framework and it should display the inbound posted data quite nicely. Alright, now we don't have any Matrix Auth protection here, so it should work. I'm not expecting any problems here. Let's refresh for good luck. We're going to send our post request. And as you can see, it's saying first name John, last name Smith. That's fantastic. Now, just to let you know, there are different ways of posting data. If you had a normal traditional form, then you might say posted data is, and you can access the post super global. So I'm just letting you know that that's possible as well, okay? But in this example, we're using this method here. So what we're going to do once again is we'll add in our matrix auth protection. So there it is. I've now protected the endpoint. I'm going to save, refresh. Now all you're going to notice is that it will take just a little tiny bit longer to do this, but here we go. And there it is, okay? I mean, it's the most underwhelming demo ever, but I can assure you that endpoint is now protected. And I can prove it's protected because if I go to authorized apps and I'll change a letter here, right? I've changed a letter and I'm going to refresh. Now check this, unauthorized, okay? So Matrix Auth is doing its job here. I hope you enjoy using Matrix Auth. Thanks a lot for watching. And if you do like this, all we ask is could you please give this framework a star? We're not that far off from having a top 10 framework. If Trongate becomes a top 10 framework, it will be one of the most electrifying events in the history of web development. Thank you for watching. I ain't too proud to beg. Give me a thumbs up as well if you enjoyed this kind of content and if you'd like more of this type of stuff. Cheers!